The AI chips everyone is racing to build all hit the same wall. Nvidia, AMD, the custom chips Google and Amazon are building in-house. To go faster, they all need one hidden step. And one company you've probably never heard of owns the patents on it. It's called ADEA. In November 2025, ADEA sued AMD. 4 months later, AMD gave up the fight and signed a license to pay ADEA. No drawn-out trial, no appeal. One of the sharpest legal teams in tech looked at the case and decided that paying beat fighting. Here's the strange part. ADEA doesn't make a chip. It doesn't make a machine. It barely makes anything you could hold in your hand. Real quick before we dig in, I'm Ko. I've spent about 20 years building inside startups and big tech. I take an idea, strip it down to first principles, and hunt for the opportunity everyone else is walking past. If that's how you like to think, subscribe and stick around. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you a deadline hiding in the memory market. A deadline in 2027. It could flip ADEA from a footnote into one of the quietest running machines in the whole AI boom. Quick thing before we go further, I'm not your financial advisor. ADEA is a core holding for me, so I'm biased and nothing here is advice. This is just how I think about my own portfolio. To understand why AMD folded, you have to understand what's physically changing inside these chips right now. For years, when engineers wanted to stack two chips on top of each other, they used tiny balls of solder, little metal stilts. Picture a stack of pancakes held together with dabs of butter at the corners. It worked, but it had limits. The stilts took up space. They trapped heat. They leaked a little signal, and AI hardware ran out of patience for all three. So the industry started switching to something different, something called hybrid bonding. Here's hybrid bonding in plain English. You take two chips, you polish their surfaces until they're flat at the atomic level, flatter than anything you've ever touched. Then you press them together, face to face, and heat them until the copper on one chip fuses straight into the copper on the other. No stilts, no butter, no gap. Think of two panes of glass so perfectly flat, they cling together the second they touch. Then you weld the seams. The payoff is enormous. Old solder gave you a few hundred connections per square millimeter. Hybrid bonding gives you more than 100,000 in the same space, using less power per signal. For AI chips, slamming into hard power limits, that's not a nice to have. That's the whole ballgame. So everybody is moving to hybrid bonding. The memory makers, the foundries, which are the factories that build the chips, the companies that design them. Here's the part nobody talks about. The machines that do this bonding, companies sell those. The wafers that run through the machines, companies make those too. But the methods, the actual recipe for how you bond copper to copper without leaving an invisible void inside the chip, somebody owns that. That somebody is ADEA. Now, let me give you a simple way to hold this whole thesis in your head. I call it road, moat, meter. 3 questions. If a company passes all 3, it's not a business, it's a toll booth. The first one is the road. Is this a road people actually want to drive on? Is the traffic real and growing? The second is the moat. Are there ways around the toll booth? Or is this the only road through? And third, the meter. When more cars drive through, does the toll booth automatically collect more? Or is it stuck changing one flat price forever? Road, moat, meter. Keep those 3 in your back pocket. We're going to run ADEA through all 3. But first, where did this company even come from? Because the origin story is a little ridiculous. The core technology traces back to a small North Carolina company called Ziptronics. They invented the bonding method that today's most advanced chips are built on. In 2015, that business got bought for about $39 million. $39 million for the patents underneath a process that now sits inside the most expensive chips humanity makes. Those patents changed hands a couple of times and eventually landed in a company that spun off on its own in October 2022. That's ADEA. Today, ADEA holds more than 13,750 patent assets. Over 1,100 of them are specific to hybrid bonding. That's not one patent you can tiptoe around. That's a thicket. Methods, materials, chemistries, the circuit structures themselves, layer on layer. Hold that thought because the size of that thicket is the whole reason AMD what it did. Let's run the framework. Road first. Is this road real? Is hybrid bonding actually where the industry is going, or is this all hype? Look at what's already shipping. Hybrid bonding is in full production right now in camera image sensors. It's in 3D NAND flash. That's the storage memory in your phone and in data centers. Sony has been mass producing it for years. This isn't a science project. It's a manufacturable today at massive scale. And the hard version, the one that stacks the processor and the memory together for AI chips, that's the one ramping up. It's the version going into HBM. HBM stands for high bandwidth memory, the fast memory that sits right next to every serious AI chip. The road isn't just real. More traffic is merging onto it every quarter. Road passed. Now the moat. This is where it gets good. Anybody can claim their patents are bulletproof. Companies say you can't design around our IP all the time. It's marketing. So I don't listen to what Adea says about its own moats. I watch what the smartest companies in the world do when they run into it. Here's a roster of companies that have looked at Adea's patents and chosen to sign a license rather than fight. Micron, SK Hynix, AMD, Kioxia, SanDisk, Qorvo, and more. These are not pushovers. These are companies with some of the most feared patent lawyers on earth. Litigation is a sport for them. When that crowd decides paying is cheaper than fighting, that decision tells you something the marketing never could. Which brings us back to AMD, because the AMD story isn't just a headline, it's a blueprint for everything that comes next. In November 2025, Adea didn't just file one lawsuit, it filed 2 patent suits in Texas, plus a complaint at the International Trade Commission. That's the body that can flat out block products from coming into the country. 10 patents on the table, 7 on hybrid bonding, 3 on advanced manufacturing. And the lawsuit named specific names, specific AMD products, the Ryzen chips gamers buy, the EPYC server chips that companies like Microsoft and Cloudflare run in their data centers. Every one of those products stacks extra memory, the cache, directly on top of the processor cores using hybrid bonding. So there was basically no wiggle room about whether the patents touched real, high-volume, money-making products. Now, picture being the head of AMD's legal team. You've got a stack of products generating real revenue. You've got a patent holder pointing at a venue that could block your imports. And you've got a patent thicket so dense that fighting it means years and a fortune with no guarantees. You sit in that room, you run the math. 4 months later, AMD signed a multi-year license covering Adea's entire semiconductor portfolio. Every lawsuit dropped. AMD didn't fold because they were weak. AMD folded because their own people did the math and decided fighting was the worst outcome. And that single deal did something bigger than the deal itself. It set the price. Every negotiation that comes after now has a number to point at. Moat passed. Here's where the stakes come in. Because the pipeline is a part most people are sleeping. Adea's CEO has publicly named the companies with hybrid bonding on their roadmaps. And the order they're likely to land is almost a countdown. Broadcom looks like the next domino, possibly in 2026. Broadcom builds the custom AI chips for Google and Meta and is reportedly working with OpenAI. One Broadcom deal would validate the entire custom chip world in a single signature. Then Intel. Intel's stacking technology uses hybrid bonding too, and the setup looks a lot like AMD's, a big company shipping high-volume products. Same playbook, run it again. Then Marvell, the chip partner behind Amazon's and Microsoft's in-house accelerators. And then there's the big one, Nvidia. Nvidia is the biggest name on the board with no confirmed current generation license. Adea's CEO has basically described Nvidia adoption as a matter of when, not if, given where the chip and memory integration is heading. I want to be careful here. I'm not underwriting Nvidia signing. The timing is genuinely unknown. And I treat it as a lottery ticket, not a plan. But given Nvidia's volumes, if that ticket ever hits, it's a big one. So that's the pipeline. Now, let me show you the part that actually makes this a toll booth instead of just a winning lawsuit machine, the meter. This is the most important idea in the whole video. So slow down with me for a second. There are 2 ways to license a patent. One is a flat fee, you pay once. A fixed number, it doesn't matter if you ship 1,000 chips or 1 billion. The check is the same. The other is a per unit royalty. You pay a tiny amount for every single chip you ship. It's a meter. When the customer's volume goes up, the toll automatically goes up with it. Same patents, completely different businesses. Now here's a setup that made me move Idea to a core holding. In storage, the NAND market. Idea holds licenses covering roughly 90% of the industry. Two players, Kioxia and SanDisk, are already paying per unit royalties. Their meter is running. But the three giants, Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron, are still on the old flat fee deal. Flat, no matter how much they ship. It's the same story in DRAM. That's the main working memory inside every computer and phone. Those same three companies control about 90% of the market, and they're all on flat fees too. Every one of those deals expire in the same window, 2027 to 2028. Sit with that. When those contracts were first written, hybrid bonding was still in the lab, barely a factor. By the time they come up for renewal, hybrid bonding is expected to be the standard architecture underneath the high bandwidth memory in every major AI accelerator on the planet. So Idea walks back to the negotiating table, covering 90% of two huge markets, right as those markets lean on its technology more than ever. And it gets to try to move all of that volume off of a flat fee and onto a running meter. Management calls this the single biggest step change in their forward model, and it lands right in 2027 and 2028. That's the deadline I promised you at the start. It's not a press release, it's a contract calendar. And almost nobody outside the patent world is watching it. The meter passed. Road, Moat, meter. Idea clears all three. Let me show you the shape of the business without telling you a single thing about the price. That call is yours, not mine. Idea is really two companies stuck together. The old half is media and pay TV patent. Think of the program guides on your cable box. It's a mature, slow, and steady. It's also the lens most Wall Street analysts use to size up the whole company, which is exactly why the new half slips under the radar. The new half is semiconductors. By analyst estimates, it did around $26 million in revenue in 2025, up about 40% in a year. That sounds small. It is small for now. But here's the magic of a licensing model. There's no factory, no equipment, no raw materials. When a license gets signed, almost all of that money falls straight to the bottom line. It's about as clean as a business model gets. By Wall Street's estimates, that semiconductor business roughly triples towards $78 million. That forecast is before the DRAM renewals we just walked through. So the small slice today is the whole point. The big catalysts, Broadcom, Intel, the 2027 renewals, are all in front of the company, not behind it. Now, the part where I keep myself honest, because a thesis without real risks is just a sales pitch, and I'm not here to sell you anything. The first risk is the obvious one. The pipeline is named, but it isn't signed. Broadcom, Intel, Marvell. Those are conversations, not contracts. Talk is not revenue. If those deals slip or fall apart, the story slows down hard. Risk 2 is quieter, and it's the one I actually think about more. The whole bull case leans on those 2027 and 2028 renewals converting toward a running meter, but expires in 2027 does not mean automatically becomes a better deal. The memory giants have brutal negotiating power too. They could renew on terms that look a lot like the old flat fees, and the step change just doesn't step. It's not a dramatic blow up, it's a slow disappointment that takes 2 years to show up. Those are the ones that hurt. And the third risk sits on an old half of the business. The legacy media patents can soften and hide the progress on the chip side for a while. That's already happening. One big pay TV license lapsed in early 2026 with no renewal. Real money gone. The new engine has to grow faster than the old one shrinks. There's also a leadership note worth watching. The CEO has said he plans to step down later in 2026 for personal and health reasons, with a search underway for a replacement. The strategy doesn't live or die on one person, but a handoff during the most important stretch of the licensing cycle is something I'm watching, not waving off. So here's where I land. Most people watching the AI boom are looking at the obvious stuff. The chips, the clouds, the models. They see a road packed with traffic, and they try to pick which car wins the race. I'd rather own the toll booths. The market sees a sleepy patent company that runs your cable guide. I see a meter that's about to get attached to 90% of the world's memory, right as that memory becomes the most fought over material in technology. That gap between what the crowd sees and what's actually being built under the floor, that gap is exactly where a work optional portfolio gets put together, quietly, while everyone else is watching the race. I'll be tracking 5 things from here. The next big chip license with Broadcom to name the watch, the storage royalties finally showing up in the next quarter or two, any movement out of Intel, the first real signals on those 2027 renewals, and the long shot, any change at all in Nvidia's stance. If you want, I'll break down the full basket of supply chain names around this one in a follow-up. The inspection layer, the packaging layer, the memory makers themselves. Tell me in the comments. So that's the toll booth. If this helped you see the AI boom a little differently, do me a favor and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.